Today we will be traveling through multiple worlds using magic that may, or may not, have come from a real fictional fairy godmother. This story is The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis. We're continuing our journey through the Chronicles of Narnia. Spoilers. Duh. Our story begins in London a long time ago. Lewis says that the story started when your grandfather was a boy. Considering this story was published in 1955, I think great-grandfather, or maybe even great-great, may be more appropriate now. It is here and then that we meet our two main protagonists. Polly Plummer has lived in London her whole life, and things are fine. The neighbors might be a little odd, but not too out of the ordinary. Diggory Kirk is our other protagonist, and he's having a very hard time. When Polly first sees him, the boy had been crying. Diggory has moved from his home in the country, from his pony, from all his comfortable things to live with his aunt and mad uncle in London. His father's in India and his mother is deathly ill. As both children are very young, they feel things very deeply, hence the crying. But they also become friends very quickly. They begin to explore the row of houses they live in. In the attic, there's a kind of in-between space where if you jump from rafter to rafter, you can actually travel through all the houses in the row. Diggory and Polly were next-door neighbors, and on the far side is an empty house. And so they do what every kid would, try to break into the empty house. Except it doesn't work. They kind of mess up the measurements and land in Diggory's house, right in the attic study of his mad Uncle Andrew. And for the record, I don't mean mad like angry. The guy is kind of crazy. After confronting the kids, Uncle Andrew gives Polly a yellow ring and she vanishes. Uncle Andrew then tells Diggory how he learned to do this, how to make the rings, about how he broke a promise to his godmother, who had been part fairy, did a lot of not great things, no heavy details thankfully, and used guinea pigs to test the magic rings. He guilt trips into Diggory. He guilt trips Diggory into taking a yellow ring and going after Polly. Because, obviously, how could he? Diggory, this green ring will take you home. Go after the little girl because I am far too important to do it. And totally not a coward, right? Anyway, something like that. Uncle Andrew thought a yellow ring would take you to another world, and a green one would bring you home. He's only partly right. Diggory puts on a yellow ring and finds himself in a sleepy wood with a lot of puddles. He also finds Polly and a guinea pig or two. The kids decide to explore and figure out that this wood is an in-between place, and each puddle is a different world. The yellow rings take you to the wood between worlds, and the green ones will take you away. They mark their home puddle, smartest thing they do all book, before jumping into a new one. The kids find themselves in the dead world of Charn. And I mean dead. No animals, no people, no bugs, no spiders. It's just a bunch of lifeless ruins until they come to a room with what looks like wax people. Polly has been growing more and more uncomfortable this whole time, like most of us would, I think. And then they get to this room, and there's this magic bell right in front of them. Make your choice, adventurous stranger. Strike the bell and bide the danger. Or wonder till it drives you mad. What would have happened if you had? Diggory strikes the bell, waking up an evil, powerful queen. She forces the children to bring her back to our world, and the chaos begins. Jadis, the queen, forces Uncle Andrew to take her around London. There she acquires jewels, fancy clothing, and a police chase. Jadis somehow manages to return to the row of houses with all of these things, as well as a crowd of onlookers and a terrified cab horse. Desperate to return her to Charn, Diggory sneaks up on her, grabs her ankle, and slips on his yellow ring. He's far more successful than he had planned. See, the rings will bring along not just the person wearing it, but anyone touching that person. Kind of like magnets. Imagine the kids' surprise when they'd gone through a puddle to a new world and discovered they'd brought Jadis and the horse, and the horse's owner, and Uncle Andrew. And they were in the wrong world. They brought this whole little crowd not into a dead or dying world, but to a brand spanking new one. Brand new. Like, there's nothing but dirt here. Until there's singing, and stuff starts happening. Grass grows. Stars suddenly exist, and the sun rises. Trees start growing, and as the sun rises, the singer is finally revealed. Aslan. Now, the queen doesn't understand what he's singing. She just knows that this magic is different and far greater than hers, and it scares her. Back in the real world, she had ripped off part of a lamppost, and now she throws it at him. It doesn't hurt him. It doesn't even seem to faze him, as it just bounces off of his face. Aslan keeps on singing, while the animals start popping out of hills in the ground, like daisies! Aslan keeps singing, and he begins to pick certain animals, including the horse from our world, to be given the gift of speech. And it is all very cool, but the humans are distracted through the whole thing. Like I said, the witch is totally freaked. She and Uncle Andrew keep trying to get the rings from the kids, and the kids keep dodging them. After Jadis throws the lamppost at Aslan, she runs off. And Uncle Andrew, well, he persuades himself that everything is just fine and promptly faints. After that, the kids and the cabbie are free to go talk to Aslan. A lot of things happen here. First, the cabbie is declared the first king of Narnia, and his wife is taken from our world to join him. Then, Diggory is sent on a quest to retrieve an apple that will protect Narnia from the witch. Polly and the horse are sent to help him, and the horse is changed into a winged horse named Fledge. The task is fairly easily accomplished, though Diggory does face some major temptation when the witch tells him that the apple could heal his terribly sick mother. I think a lot of us would have had a hard time with that temptation. But upon returning to Aslan, Diggory is informed that the apple could heal his mother, but only if the apple was given from the garden and not stolen. If Diggory had just taken the apple without Aslan's permission, just grabbed it, gone back home to his mom, it wouldn't have healed her. Not completely. Not in a good way. Now the queen stole the apple, and it turned her into the White Witch, the main antagonist of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Diggory plants the apple for Aslan, and they go to the coronation of the new king and queen of Narnia. During the coronation, the apple grows into a tree, and Diggory is allowed to take one of those apples for his mother. Oh yeah, and the lamppost piece the witch threw, it grows into a full lamppost that glowed for years and years and years, and it's actually the lamppost that Lucy stumbled across. Diggory and Polly go home and give the apple to Diggory's mother. It works instantly, and then his dad comes home, and they all go off to the big house in the countryside, and everything is fantastic. 5 out of 5 beans, happy endings all around. And, I guess that's the story. Diggory planted the apple core when his mother finished eating it, and it grew into a tree. Eventually, the tree was knocked down, and he had it turned into a wardrobe. Now, I can't make a wardrobe. Maybe I can, but that's not the point. What I did make was the White Witch and Fledge. And I guess that brings me to the end of this rambling tale. Let us know what you thought in the comments. And if you've got any suggestions for a good book, let us know. After all, there's only 7 books in Narnia. See you next time.